Alright, so in this video on the Daily Push, I'm going to be covering probably the most spoken about topic in skateboarding. This is a seriously sensitive topic. I've seen some guy at MacBa just get smacked in the face for just, expressing his opinion on the topic. It's probably covered like every single week on the Nine Club. Tony Hawk even released like a little position statement on the topic, and it is carbohydrates. So in this video I'm going to be going over why carbohydrates are essential if you want to skate and feel as good as you could, and how you're probably making the wrong carb choices, and then how to optimize your carb game to just really enhance skating and how you feel. Alright, so this video might get a little bit tech, but just hold tight because it's definitely going to be worth it. So starting off, can you survive with low or no carbohydrates? And the answer is definitely yes. There's a pretty popular diet called the ketogenic diet, which is like a low carb, high fat diet. But the science does seem to show that for like moderate to high intensity skating, your performance is going to drop off to some degree. And as well, like the vast majority of people aren't eating that diet, they're eating just like a normal balanced diet. So this video is going to be focused primarily on just a normal balanced diet. Alright, so first off, what are carbohydrates? Why do we need them? So your brain gobbles up like 130 grams of them every single day. So all of that energy wasted on you just thinking about what little tricks you can do on your little wooden toy, and why you didn't get enough likes on your last Instagram clip. So what a waste of nature right there. But on top of that as well, they're also involved in a lot of like structural and like functional compounds in your body. But maybe more importantly for you, they're one of the main energy sources for the tricks that we actually do when we're skating. So different energy sources can supply energy at different rates. Fats, for example, are broken down into energy much slower than carbs, so they're going to power more lower intensity movements, like when you're cruising around or if you're chilling in between tricks. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, can supply energy pretty damn fast, and specifically a simple carb called glucose, which we're going to get to soon, supply energy from a lot more of those more higher power movements, like when you're actually doing your tricks or when you're like running from the cops or something. Carbohydrates are going to help you in those situations, and this is why for more moderate to higher intensity sessions, that lower carb diet isn't going to be better. One of the good things about fat though is that you can store enough of it to supply just an insane amount of lower intensity movement. You could push in a little circle for like 100,000 times and you're never going to run out of energy. You might just collapse and puke everywhere, but energy you will not run out of, that's for sure, because fat has just got a huge energy tank. Whereas on the other hand, your carb tank's only big enough to store about 60 to 90 minutes worth of pretty intense skate energy before you're going to start fatiguing. And at that point then you're going to be like, mate, where do I get my carbohydrates from? And this is where food comes in. Carbohydrates and food are going to replenish those carbohydrate stores and just rebuild your skate energy so you can skate again at a decent level. Alright, so maybe you're sitting there now and you're thinking, alright, carbs sound alright, I like some carbs, they seem to be good for my skating, but where do I get my carbs? Where do I get my carbs? So carbs can basically come in many different shapes and sizes, from like tiny little single carb nuggets to chains of carbs of like thousands of carbs stuck together. But in general, they can be split up into two main categories of simple carbs and complex carbs. So simple carbs, also known as sugars, are like tiny little carb nuggets built up of either just one or two carb molecules of like, say, fructose or glucose, for example. Table sugar is an example of a simple carb, but you can also find them in whole foods as well, like fruit, for example. They're almost already in either usable or real close to usable energy form for your body, so they're going to be digested real fast, and this can make them useful for certain times, for example around your session. So if you're going on like a long session, getting some of these faster digesting carbs like in the middle of your session are going to help to keep those energy levels up. And that's the reason why I added sugar and honey to the DIY skate energy drink. And you can also use them at the end of your session if you want to go skate again within like 24 hours. They can be a good way to just speed up the replenishment of your carb tank stores. I'm not going to go too deep into these things though, because I've already done videos on mid and post session nutrition, so I'll put a link for those in the description below. So although these fast digesting carbs can serve a purpose and be good at certain times like around your session, fast digesting carbs isn't something that we're going to want all the time. And one of the biggest problems with our diet these days is they're just absolutely rammed full of these simple carbs in the form of like added sugars and sweeteners. And not only are too much of these simple added sugars going to make it look like, you've brush your teeth with turmeric and mud toothpaste. But also a lot of these extra sugars that your body doesn't need in the moment are linked to a lot of chronic health issues as well. Getting in too many of these simple added sugars have got a lot of other drawbacks as well, which we'll get to soon. But first, the moment you've all been waiting for, complex carbohydrate time.
Mother, is it really complex carbohydrate time? That's right, little one.
So complex carbohydrates are basically long chains of lots of simple carbohydrate nuggets just like fused together. So just like simple carbs, they're found in a wide variety of foods, from whole foods to ultra processed like refined foods as well. So you can get them in things like whole grain rice to cookies, from quinoa to ultra refined white bread. So in general, complex carbs are going to take more time to be broken down than those simple carbs. But in general, the more refined that a food is, the faster those carbs are going to be broken down, regardless of whether they're simple or complex. So pretty much all carbs, regardless of whether you got them from simple carbs or complex carbs, are going to be broken down primarily into glucose. So in theory, you could get all the energy that you need to live and skate from just table sugar, but you shouldn't do that for two reasons, at least two reasons. Number one, you're probably going to die like 30 years younger. And number two, food isn't just about energy. So a problem with a lot of these refined foods, whether or not they're giving you simple or complex carbs, is that they have had a lot of those healthy nutrients that are going to support your skating and health stripped away from them. So things like vitamins and minerals, phytonutrients and water and fiber, and they've often been replaced as well with a lot of shit like salt, trans fats, like preservatives, flavorings, and other stuff that just is going to have a negative effect on your skating and your health. So although the carbs might have the same fate in your body and ultimately once they've been digested just become the same thing, it's more the journey that the carb takes and the extra nutrients that comes with it or not that really matters. So getting your carbs from primarily whole and minimally processed foods isn't just going to give you the energy that you need to skate and live, but it's also going to give you a load of bonus nuggets of joy that come from all those extra nutrients that have got inside of it. So when you're making those carb choices for better skating and for better health, you want to aim primarily for complex carbs from whole foods and minimally processed higher fiber foods. And if I keep walking forwards, I'm going to fall into this bin. Alright, so now you're there and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get my carbs from primarily complex carbs found in whole foods and minimally processed foods. But Jimmy, what's fiber? And I'm gonna say, well, first off, mate, my name isn't Jimmy, but I'm gonna tell you what fiber is, so don't worry. So fiber is just another complex carbohydrate, but the difference with this one is that your body isn't gonna break it down for energy, so it's just gonna travel straight through your body and come out in your poo. But it does have a lot of other health benefits, like feeding your gut bacteria, just improving gut health, reducing cholesterol, and it's also going to increase fullness and slow digestion down. And that's why getting in those higher fiber complex carbs are going to release like more consistent energy throughout your day, as opposed to like those simple kind of high sugary foods that are just going to spike your energy and then you're going to crash, spike your energy and crash. With those complex higher fiber ones, you just got, yeah, that more sustainable energy, mate, to just go all day until night and then to the next day. Wait, no, sorry, I'm confusing that with MDMA. So fiber's also going to add bulk to your turds, so it could be the difference between just, you know, explosive liquid or a naff, meaty one wiper. So I'm going to put different food recommendations for all the different types of carbs up on the website. But just one final thing on fiber is that the recommended daily amount is about 25 grams per day, whereas the optimal amount is going to be closer to like 35 grams for women and 48 grams for men. But a lot of people don't even get anywhere near that 25 grams. So aiming to get in some more fiber in your diet is going to be really beneficial for a lot of people. And to get it done, you really just need to think about just trying to prioritize those more like higher fiber, complex carbs from whole foods and minimally processed foods. So we've gone pretty deep into carbs, but how much carbs should you get in per day? And I'm going to tell you.
At the top of this lovely pile of wood chippings.
So first off, there's no such thing as a perfect amount of carbs that are gonna suit every single person. You know, we've all got different needs based on so many different things, like how long our sessions are, how intense they are, how many we have per week, things like body size, your genetics, your age, so many different things. So for example, a 70-year-old woman who does nothing other than just like knits little socks for kittens is going to require much less energy than a young buck who's out there every day, heavy sessions, multiple sessions a day, their carb needs are going to be completely different. So some people are going to thrive on more carbs than others on less, but the majority are going to be somewhere in between. So a good place to start when it comes down to figuring out how much carbs you should get in your diet is continuing on from the other hand-sized portion methods that I've used in the other videos on fat and protein. For carbs, it's going to be the cupped hand. So a good place to start for women is going to be 1 cupped hand of high carb foods at every meal, whereas for guys it's going to be 1 or 2 cupped hand portions for every meal. And obviously you can mess with these amounts. If you're out skating a shitload or you want to put on weight, for example, then you might up these amounts, or you might focus on just eating more meals throughout the day. So either way, just mess around with different amounts and just really focus on how you feel with different amounts of carbs, how your energy levels are when you're skating, and how you feel throughout the day, and as well how different foods make your energy kind of change throughout the day as well. So we went over a lot in this video, and I'm just going to break it down into a few summary points. So starting off, carbs aren't bad. Same with fat, like the shitty diet is the problem, it's not the actual energy source. Most people are going to skate and feel better eating carbs, but you're just going to have to mess around with like different amounts just to see what works best for you. We evolved to eat a wide variety of all different types of carbs, from simple to complex carbs and fiber as well. But try and get the majority of your carbs from higher fiber, complex carbs, and specifically from more whole foods and minimally processed foods. Saving those faster digesting ones for the times around your sessions. But saying that, you don't have to be a health Nazi, feel like you can never eat anything that's slightly refined. You know, you've just got to take the bigger picture view and just think about what you're doing on average, which is what matters the most, you know? When you try and be like super restrictive, I think it's not sustainable, you know, and you can get stressed about that shit. Like I actually got myself in that situation where I kind of got obsessed with trying to be like super healthy, and man, it was more stressful, and my health got worse in comparison to when I was like, you know, being a bit more lenient and just making sure I was focusing on getting the majority of my food from good sources. And now if I feel like, you know, getting crazy, getting a little wild, and just, you know, having a biscuit, like I'm gonna do it, right? I'm gonna have my biscuit and I'm not gonna feel bad. So I find that's a much more sustainable option, and that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think about this video down in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe for regular content that's gonna improve how you skate and how you feel when you skate. And that's it for this one.